guys, it's Kelly here and I am back with another video. Today I am going to be using some dies from Spellbinders. This one that I'm showing you here is the Merry Filigree, which I did not end up using. I had all intentions of using it, but the background didn't come out. You're going to see that as we proceed. But the top piece, they're all really beautiful and intricate. It comes with these little holly dies. And the top piece says Merry Christmas, but the background that I created was just a little bit too busy. So I ended up using this one for both of my cards. This is called Through the Woods. It has the little Merry Christmas die. It has a snowy background, a little truck and some trees, a little snowdrift, and then the little ornament topper. I super love this die set, and I don't usually like dies, but I feel like there's a bunch of different options for this one. I decided it would be super fun to kind of play with my alcohol inks to create my background. So that is what I'm doing here. I have a mix of regular alcohol inks, the metallic mixatives, and then alcohol pearls, which also have shimmer in it. I'm going to be using a little bit of all of them. And I wanted to kind of show you how I went wrong with this background because I just didn't leave it alone, y'all. That is the problem. I did not leave it alone. So I put down the, what is it called? That, like, the alcohol mixative, Ranger's alcohol mixative. And I know other people use like rubbing alcohol. I don't get the same results with that. And I'm super cheap. So, if I had an option, I totally would use it. And for a different look, I have used alcohol. And then I picked up this, it's like the little hand blowy tool from Tim Holtz and Ranger. And because normally I do this with a straw, but I was able to get it with a coupon. It was pretty inexpensive. And so I was really happy with the way that worked, and then I didn't have to, huff and puff and blow all over my alcohol background. So speaking of sales, it's obviously Black Friday. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving yesterday. I did. We went and saw Eric's family, and then we went and saw my side of the family. So we were kind of split for the day, but it was super nice to see everybody for the holiday, because obviously, as you know, usually we're both or one of us is working. Eric almost always works Thanksgiving. So typically I don't get to see him for that, and we pick another day with his family to go out there and see them. But because we're both home on maternity, paternity leave, we were able to spend Thanksgiving together. So that was super nice. But there's a ton of sales. I do have a sales page over on my blog. I will link it below if you're watching on YouTube. And just to be clear, they are affiliate links. If you don't know what an affiliate link is, let me explain. Basically, I get a percentage of the sales. I get paid that percentage of the sales. It comes off the company's end. It doesn't come off the customer's end, so it doesn't actually cost you anymore, and it's a super great way to support me to keep making videos, and then also to support small businesses that we love so that they keep making stamps that we love, so we can keep doing this wonderful hobby, right? So I will link that below. If you are feeling like saving some dollars and doing some shopping today, I would super appreciate if you use those links. So here I have done the blue, purple, teal background. That was my intention for the Merry Filigree die. Why can't I think of words? Die. And I just didn't leave it alone. It was super pretty the way that it was, and I should have just not added this blue. I should have left it alone, because now it looks like a polka dotted hot mess. And part of that is because I didn't have enough of the alcohol mixative on the paper. It was already starting to dry, and then I was trying to add other things. Like, it needs to be fluid when you're adding the other colors, or they're not going to have anywhere to move to. So that was whatever. That was a fail on my part. No big deal. With alcohol backgrounds, thankfully, you can pretty much wipe off your Yupo paper. That's what I'm using, by the way. And kind of salvage those pieces and start all over again. So the paper isn't a waste, but for this particular project, the background was a loss. And so I just decided to let it go because I had more than enough with this piece that I'm doing now to make 2 cards. So you can see this background on the right here is coming out much better. It's much more fluid. I have much more of the alcohol mixative on the paper there. So it is it's turning out much nicer. For some reason, I have a tickle in my throat. I've had to pause this video like 3 times so that I could cough my head off. And do you know why this is happening? This is happening to me because everybody else in my house is sleeping. I'm the only person awake. I am watching my sleeping baby on the monitor to make sure that she does not wake up while I am doing this voiceover. Because my son is sleeping, and so is my husband. And that is why this is happening to me. Because of all the days that I don't have time to have a coughing fit in the middle of a voiceover, this morning at 8:56 is my morning. She and I have already been up since 7. I waited for her sweet, sweet little tushy to fall asleep and to be asleep for about 30 minutes before I risked it. And here I am, up here, risking it for the biscuit. And I'm having this tickle for no reason whatsoever. So anywho, back to the card. I just thought I would share that. So in the die set, it has the like snowflake or starry sky that it cuts out, but it only cuts out the holes. It doesn't cut out the edge. So you have to use the circle die that's included to go back in there and cut that whole thing out. Here on the left-hand side, this is that Merry Filigree set that I was going to use. I chose silver glitter because you saw me choose the silver mixative to put in the background. And I thought maybe that I could still make it work, but it was far too busy. And I even messed around with like doing it in white instead of silver, and I just didn't love it, y'all. So, you know, I let it go. I let it go be with Jesus. It's fine. I'll be able to use the silver die cuts on another card, and I'll be able to use that alcohol background on a different card. Fortunately, alcohol inks are super forgiving, so I'll be able to clean up that background and reuse it, just by wiping it off with alcohol. So here I have cut out just the Merry Christmas portion in a gold mirror paper, and I'm going to turn this green one into an ornament, which I think is super cute. That's one of the reasons why I like the die set so much. It's just super versatile. You don't even have to use any of the other like extras that come with it, as far as like the trucks or the trees or anything like that. Like you could just knock out a bunch of these little ornaments. We're going to do a super fun background with that, and it's a simple kind of like gender neutral Merry Christmas card that's relatively easy to make. So here I will warn you when you're doing the sky background to run it through your die cutting machine a couple of times if you're using this Yupo paper, because it is a little bit thicker and it has a coating on it. So I did have to run it through a couple of times to get the little holes to come out. But so now once I have my snowdrift in, which by the way is white glitter paper because I love the glitter paper at the holidays. Well, I love it all the time, but particularly at the holidays. And then I used a little bit of that silver to do the bumper, and I'm going to, you cannot see them because they are upside down. But on my craft mat, I also cut out, there's like this little die that has 4 little circles in it. It almost looks like a little, like the inside of a button, but it's actually the lights for the back of the truck. And so I just cut those out in gold and put them on the back of the truck just using a tool. Spellbinders has one as well that's like a multi-purpose tool. This one from Honeybee is the one that I typically have on my desk, so that's the one that I grabbed. But both are super good. That Spellbinders one does a bunch of other things as well. So speaking of Spellbinders, they are having an amazing sale, which I'm going to go over there and shop, because they have not only like stamps and dies and things like that, but they have a limited edition embossing machine. If you've been going back and forth about buying a Platinum 6, they have a really good deal on theirs right now. There's just a lot of super good sales, and there's some things that I would like to pick up. I have not gotten on the hot foil train yet, but I would like to look at their pricing to see um, whether or not they have that available at a good price, because I might just, go ahead and take the jump for it. Here, I'm tucking my tree down um, underneath in my little snowbank. And then I was not even paying attention. And I made this before I had my child. I was not even paying attention to the fact that the little stem was sticking out. I thought that it would be covered up by the outside frame. It wasn't, so I'm going to go back and fix that later. Don't judge me too harshly yet. So now that everything is kind of built and put together, I'm going to then build my little scene. My son loves everything with the little red truck decorations. In fact, we have one that kind of decorates our console table. Like when you first walk in the door, we have a little, it's actually like a kitchen rack, but we've been using it as a console table for quite some time. And there is it's a little red ceramic truck, and then you can fill the bed of it with things. So right now it has pumpkins and leaves in it, but I clearly need to switch that out because today's the day after Thanksgiving and it's officially Christmas season, which my husband will remind me of by playing Christmas music all of the time. I like Christmas music. I love Jesus. I'm happy to celebrate his birthday. But not all Christmas music is created equal, and my husband has a love for the Mariah. I don't have a love for the Mariah Carey. That is probably one of the worst Christmas songs ever, and he wants to play it loud and proud. And in fact, the first day that it snowed here, he played it and then danced in the kitchen. It was terrible. The song, not the dancing. The dancing was rather entertaining. But anywho, so this is all put together now. And then I am going to cut off this little stem. I'm just using my X-Acto knife to cut that off. And then you would never even know that we tucked it under there. Here, I'm just going to show you how, you can't even see it, y'all. It's so busy because of the way that I did the background. This would be much better suited for a different, a smaller pattern in the background or a solid color in the background. That was my fault. So now I've switched to the white. I knew that that was a little bit too plain, and so I'm going to do some distress inking in the background. We've talked about before how, I just kind of do. And sometimes the cards don't come out. And I think everybody feels like when you're watching a YouTube video, because everything is spliced together. So this video is 20 some minutes long, but it took me an hour and a half to make these two cards. I had an hour and a half of footage to sort through. So you're only seeing the parts that worked out for most of us. Here, I decided I was going to try a simple, grayish background and see if I liked that. I didn't. I did not. And so then I just switched and changed it to a different color, and I will use this piece for something else. You don't have to be married to it, guys. Don't worry about it. So anywho, we're going to have story time. As you have clearly heard me said, we have a wonderful, healthy baby girl who was born on November 4th. She, her name is Caitlin Mary Ann, and she is named after, so my oldest sister is Michelle Lynn. My middle sister is Kimberly Ann. So Caitlin Mary Ann, my sister's names are worked in there. Eric's aunt is a Mary. His mother's middle name is Marie. That's how we came up with her middle name. And then my godmother's name was, her actual name was Jerima Kay, but they called her Katie. And I just feel like Caitlin is she can grow into that name as an adult. So that's how we ended up picking that, which thank God, because it was the only name we had decided. For boys, we had it narrowed down to all the boys on, all the firstborn boys on Eric's side of the family had the middle name James. And so he wanted to continue that tradition, which I was totally fine with. I feel like James is a good, solid middle name. And so we had it narrowed down to Alexander, Ethan, and John, which is my dad's name. Eric was voting for John to name him, if it was a him, after my father. But I didn't like the way John James sounded, and I was terrified that somebody would try to shorten that into something weird. Um, so I didn't, I was like, meh, I'm not sure. But fortunately she was a girl and we already had that name picked out and it was good. So I had to listen to my last video to see where we left off at. And I don't think we're going to get through her whole birth story by any means, but don't worry, we have a lot of story times. So eventually we'll get through the whole thing just like we do with all my other adventures, right? So the last time that I had talked to you, it was October 30th. The next day was Halloween. We did go out for Halloween. Peanut wanted to go with his friends from the neighborhood, so we kind of all met at our driveway. Peanut's dad, my ex-husband, also came. We all took the kids trick-or-treating together, and I walked the entire neighborhood. The entire neighborhood. While I was enormously pregnant in the hopes, because people are like, just walk, exercise, you'll have a baby. I didn't have a baby, y'all. I just walked a lot and was very tired. And then I had to go to work at 11 p.m. And I was exhausted. But my little pumpkin shirt was adorable. You probably saw it if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook. So we walked. It did not, nothing happened. And then we finally got a call that Monday that they were going to induce us on Wednesday. We were going to go in at, I think it was 8 p.m. on Wednesday, because the balloon dilation has to be done overnight. On Wednesday afternoon, we got a call that we got bumped, that because they had other deliveries, we weren't going to be able to go in. And so they moved us to the next night, which was Thursday night. So now, mind you, we have another child. So everything, like, arrangements have to be made. And then, as soon as the hospital changes things on us, then we have to change our game plan, because originally, Nathan was gonna go to his dad's, and stay an extra night there. But then we didn't need to do that, like, because we weren't going anywhere. So we ended up calling him and canceling it. And whatever, it was like a whole thing. So then on Thursday, I got up, I took Peanut to school, I came back home. Did you do your whatever, your everyday things? You let the dogs out, you feed them. Molly gets a chew for her arthritis. Like, you go through all the things. And then I made myself breakfast. And so by the time I got done eating, it was like 10 o'clock. And I had gone into the kitchen and made myself a cup of coffee, and I was walking back to the family room, and I was like, pretty sure my water just broke. Like, fairly sure. And we had a situation earlier where I thought my water broke, and it was not. So now I'm like waiting. Like, is it? Is it not? Is it? Is it not? So I think I waited about 20-ish minutes, and like, it was not stopping. So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my water broke. So I went upstairs, I woke up Eric, and then I got in the shower. Some people are going to think that that's insane, but your water breaking is gross. Like, there's just no nice way to put it, and it feels gross, and I'm like, I'm going to go in there, and a whole bunch of people are going to be looking at my business, and like, I'm taking a shower before I go to the hospital. It wasn't like I like washed my hair and it was a leisurely shower, but like, I was in and out. So then Eric is like, you need to like hurry it up, because they say your second kid comes much faster. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be comical later, guys. It's going to be comical later that he thought my second kid was going to come faster. So then it probably took us, I think we left the house at like 11. So we got to the hospital around 11. No, we got to the hospital around 11. So we probably left at 10:30. And so we go in, hey, whatever, think my water broke, blah, blah, blah. And they put us in a room. And so there's this one OB that I don't really care for. And she is the same OB that was on call the last time that I thought my water broke and I went in. She has a terrible bedside manner. And I had seen her before when I was pregnant with Peanut. So I already knew, like, I didn't really like her. She's very straightforward. But she has no tact, like, at all. She just is what she's a little abrasive, which my personality is typically a little abrasive to some people, because I am also very straightforward in real life. And so sometimes that can take them aback a little bit. So we go in, they're like, we got to check and see if your water broke. Okay, fine. So they do like the little swab and it comes back inconclusive, which means they have to do a cervical exam. And I'm like, okay. She's like, well, the doctor's going to come in. Who's the doctor? She tells me. And I'm like, man, again? Like, and of course my doctor's on vacation, because don't all OBs go on vacation when their patients are going to be having babies? I swear that's how that always happens. So anyway, she comes in, they do the cervical exam. Sure enough, my water has broke. And she's like, okay, well, like everything looks fine. I'm just going to go ahead and, let you labor. You had your first child traditionally, and I'm just going to let you do your thing unless something changes. Okay, cool. So I have a wonderful nurse named Monica. She comes in and she needs to put my IV in. This IV is like the bane of my existence, guys, for like my entire hospital stay. So she tries to put my IV in my right hand in my wrist. I'm right hand dominant. And I'm like, this is not a good idea, Monica. And she was like, no, I like to have my IVs on the side that all of my equipment is on. And I'm like, that may be the case, but I'm right hand dominant and you've put this thing in my wrist and now I can't move my hand. And it burns like fire. So then she's like, okay, well, I can move it into your left hand. So she finds a vein like in my arm. So we're like halfway up my forearm and the vein rolls. And now she's digging around in my arm. And now the fire of my wrist seems non-existent because there is fire in my arm as she is digging around for this vein. So finally, she's like, I can try one more time. And I was like, every time I've ever been in the hospital, because I have good veins, y'all. Like, they're not hard to find. And I was like, they've always put it in my left hand. And she was like, okay, well, I can try that. I had my child 3 weeks ago yesterday. I still have a bruise in my hand from this IV. It was so awful. So she puts it in, and she puts it in where it's like it's maybe a half an inch behind my knuckle. And that thing burned every single time they put something in it. But regardless, it was in. And then they were like, we're going to let you do your thing. So my water broke at 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So we were in labor for 6 hours. And you're typically, which is how I was with Peanut, like you dilate about a centimeter an hour-ish. Back to the card. So you can see I created the two backgrounds here, which I was very happy with. And then for the ornament, I'm going to use this gold thread to make it look like it's hanging down, and then I'm going to put a little bow on it. I had a little bit of trouble with the bow, but that was, I think, due to my sticky fingers. So they're like, okay, we're going to let you labor. And they come back in to check to see if I'm dilated. And again, it's been 6 hours. Y'all, 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter in 6 hours. I was no more dilated after 6 hours than I was when I walked in there. And it's not like I wasn't having contractions, because believe me, I was. I promise you I was. They were showing up on the screen. She was like, yeah, you're having good, strong contractions, so not really sure what the issue is. We'll wait it out and see. Well, the waiting it out and see changed because the baby's heart rate started dropping. So now they're like, it could be that they're pressing on the cord. So they have me roll over to my left, to my right. I'm up on all fours, like trying to relieve this pressure that could possibly be dropping our child's heart rate. Now, I'm also terrified, because you want your baby to be healthy. You don't want there to be any complications. And so they're able to get her heart rate back up. With, moving us around. And then, so now we're back to waiting. And unfortunately, this is the end of my card video, but I promise you I will be back with part 2. I will not leave you hanging for too long. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you check out the sales links, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.